We appreciate it very much. Gorka, did I see the Gorka man? Yes, stand up, Gorka. Quick, get up. How good is he, Sebastian? Seb, they call him Seb. I call him Sebastian. Thank you, Sebastian. I just spotted you. It's lucky you're nice and tall.
Here it is, the great Dr. Sebastian Gorka. Good morning, sir. How do you do?
Very well, thank you. How are we doing on this lovely morning?
I think we're doing pretty fantastic, actually. Let's start here. Well, let's overall debate, and then there's a clip from the debate I want to play for you. But just now that we're a day or so out, where's your head at?
It's interesting. I wasn't satisfied with it. I did a tweet that the evening of, right after, which went pretty viral, that she did better than we expected, and he missed some opportunities to really destroy her, especially with what recently happened at Arlington and other absurd actions on her behalf. But at the end of the day, I thought it didn't move the needle for either side. But if you look at the polling, if you look at that group of 10 independents polled by Reuters, 6 of whom went for the president after the debate, I think I agree with the great Rush Limbaugh's brother David, who posted on X that people like you and me, Mike, who are really in this stuff all the time and are very close to it, we might be overanalyzing this too much. And maybe it was a good debate for the president.
Yeah, it's very interesting, that Reuters thing you brought up. Listen, Reuters is as biased as David Muir.
Oh, it's
but even in their focus group.
Yeah, it's horrific. Yeah.
Yeah, in their focus group, as you mentioned, there were 10 undecided, and 6 went for Trump, 3 went for Kamala, 1 still undecided.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, geez. With our frustration, we would have thought it was 10-0 the other way. And I keep going back to this moment where Kamala brought up the bloodbath hoax.
Yeah.
And Trump said, hey, I was talking about electrical stuff or something. And I was like, oh, you really missed that opportunity to crush her. But if you're an average person who doesn't know what he was talking about, you wouldn't have left that moment frustrated.
Right.
Like maybe we were.
Look, and if you're not political, you look at that event, and she didn't come over well. I mean, she's like school momish. She's like the scold. She's like the school teacher from Peanuts. The wah wah wah. It wasn't sympathetic. And if you're not political, you're really going to vote on what? Sympathy, maybe, and the state of the economy now. So maybe that's enough. But look, we take nothing for granted. We've got 52 days left, and we got to do everything. I tell people, if you the lunatics who are doing the she's wearing an earbud earring thing, that really pissed me off. And I said, really, even if that's true, it's totally irrelevant. It's not going to make a difference to the election. You want to make a difference? Go to Trump Force 47 today. Go to TrumpForce47.com and volunteer, okay? Let's get him. Like Joel wrote in that, or said in that a great interview he did with my friends Grant Stinchfield and Jennifer Horn, we have to drag our candidate over the line. It's up to us. He may be the most amazing president of the modern age, but he's only one man. He's only got 24 hours in a day, just like anyone else. It's really up to all of us, Mike.
Yeah, I think that's good because it's always been up to us too, right? So, so my claim has been take the absolute value of your frustration, however many units of frustration you have after the debate, and turn that into an equal measure of units of action, and then you win. That's how that goes. But I thought of you when this happened here. This is David Muir.
Solve this war in 24 hours. You said so just before the break tonight. How exactly would you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question.
It's about Ukraine. Right? So would you end the war? How would you end the war? But here's the part that I thought of.
Tonight, do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being people being killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are...
Okay, so he went on, and then after that, David Muir came back and said, yeah, but do you want Ukraine to win?
Yeah.
What is up with that line of questioning?
That's meant to make him look bad. right? It's meant to say, are you on the side of Putin or not? I mean, my colleague Dennis Prager had this amazing line on his show yesterday. I was listening to it as I was driving to work. He said, the job of a moderator isn't to correct, isn't to have an opinion. If Donald Trump or Kamala Harris said, the world is flat, it's not their job to say, no, the world is round. Let me talk to you about how the world is round. No, their job is to ask questions, run the clock, and then allow the audience to decide. I mean, Muir is a prostitute for the Democrats. I mean, think of this. That moderation was worse than CNN. CNN treated President Trump better during their debate than ABC did. ABC is dead and buried. Put a fork in it. It's done.
Yeah, David Muir. I've made this claim, and I don't know if this is true, but way more people watch ABC World Nightly News than anything on Fox. It's like 3x. And I haven't watched the 6 o'clock news like 30 years. Like but it's the number one show by watch. So David Muir is arguably one of the most influential political people in the country. And like no one ever talks about him, has ever heard his name or does anything with him at all. He's like such a weird anomaly in our political world. But now he's certainly exposed himself for who he was last night or 2 nights ago.
No, I mean, look, this is when you realize the mainstream legacy media is done. They have no credibility. They have negative credibility. And maybe that was one of the most important things about the debate, that we see the people who are supposed to provide us with objective analysis and just reportage for what they are, utterly, completely biased political actors. So let's say thank you to David Muir.
What is the story of Springfield, Ohio? What is the takeaway? What are we learning, and what do we need to know about Springfield, Ohio? You
mean the cats and dogs?
Yeah, and what's happening in that city?
Well, look,
it's an open question because we could talk about cats and dogs, or the fact that there's 20,000 Haitians in a city of 60,000. Like, why does this matter in our political moment right now?
Oh, it absolutely matters because no nation can survive which doesn't have borders. The only thing I'd say with regards to that is that you don't deploy that story, which is, I mean, as soon as that, the furore began on Twitter during the debate, I said, yeah, you may not have heard of it, but it's true. And I posted the police report from Springfield where the residents are saying, yeah, they're eating the domestic animals. Here's the police report. The only thing I'd say is you don't deploy that story unless it's better known, because everything is about distribution. It's real. It's happening. But do you think the average American has a clue about it? Do you think they've seen the police report? Not yet. So we need to bang the drum on these issues before we deploy them in a debate platform.
Yeah, before. That story was from that day.
Yeah, right.
That was that morning's news cycle. If there was a conservative who had to like go into work a little early or something, or they were sick and they weren't listening to the Breitbart News Daily that morning, they would have missed the eating pets in Springfield, Ohio story. Even that person would be like, what happened? So I call it the bat soup effect. I don't know, there's a better name, I'm sure, for it, but Susan Glasser from the New Yorker had a good example. She said, Trump made history last night for sure. By the way, real quick, I just want to emphasize the New Yorker. So much smarter than all of us. Dr. Gorka. She writes from the New Yorker.
Well, of course.
She's better than us.
I mean, she's a member of the
Trump
elite.
made history. Trump made history last night for sure. Who will ever forget him ranting on stage about immigrants eating people's dogs, or insisting that the vice president, quote, wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in jail? And it's an interesting phenomenon where the president can quote, where Trump can quote Kamala, and people on the left then mock Trump for saying ridiculous things. They ridicule Trump for saying ridiculous things, ludicrous things, when in fact it is the other candidate who actually believes those things.
Well, no, hang on. No.
We have her on
tape.
She
doesn't believe anything. No, she said those things. She doesn't believe anything. But yeah, I mean, it's strange. Think about the late-term abortion issue. I mean, the female moderator says, there is no state in America where that is happening. And then he has to quote Ralph Northam, the former governor of Virginia, who said on air, you can deliver the baby and then leave it on the gurney and decide whether you kill it, right? Actually said that on an interview. And then God bless him, John Solomon posts the article that gives the actual instances of 8 babies that were full term that were delivered and allowed to die. Where? Oh, in Wisconsin, under the governorship of Tim Walz. So, yeah, it's a straight, whereby, a strange reality whereby it sounds obscene, it sounds crazy, but it's actually true, and the other side has done it. That's the political environment we're living in.
Yeah. So you said Wisconsin, but Minnesota. But yes, we all know.
Minnesota,
that's of course. But 5. There was in just 1 year. There were 5 just Minnesota in 2021. 5 times they tried to abort the baby in the womb. The baby was somehow still born alive, and they did not do anything to try to keep it alive. And that's where Trump says they execute the baby. And that's where the left freaks out. And we can maybe talk about the nuance of, well, they didn't execute the baby. Well, they didn't feed the baby either. So I don't know, is that killing a baby or not if you don't feed a newborn baby or you don't give it oxygen
if you did that to a baby you quote unquote wanted, you'd be arrested for murder. So yeah, it's execution.
And I think 5 in 1 year in Minnesota, I think that's a lot. Like, who knows then how often? If it's just Minnesota, it happened 5 times that we know of.
Right.
That's a lot of times. Not to mention 10,000 late-term abortions.